Hi guys, so this is our slideshow on classroom design. And it is done by Heather Lancaster, Shaylee Brown, Emily Krivda, Shelby Heidoff, and Krista Fisher. So we'll go ahead and start from the beginning. And we'll first talk about the 6 fundamentals of the classroom. So basically, each teacher's preference and what their classroom looks like will always be different. But there are basics to come back to in trying to arrange a classroom. And these fundamentals are flexibility, belonging, interaction, attention, neat, and concentration. These are the 6 areas of focus that we try to come back to in trying to improve our classroom. So we'll first start off with flexibility. So flexibility is when a student should be able to come and go freely. Stuff shouldn't be crowded into tight corners, and there should also be room to move desks and tables according to class activity. So the next one is belonging. Students should walk into the class and feel like they actually belong there. So basically it's just a home away from home. So a cool way to do this is just putting up pictures of the kids or even their work around the classroom. It's also a really great idea to have the kids brainstorm ideas to decorate the classroom so they feel like they're involved. So the next one that we'll talk about is interaction. This can be partner work, group work, or collaboration, which is becoming more common, and for good reason. Research actually supports it. So interaction should actually be easy in the classroom. The students should actually be able to quickly push together tables, be able to turn around in their seats to work with small groups also. So the next one we'll actually talk about is attention, which is showing off things that should be important or valued materials, which can be an easy way to increase interest or bring attention to an object that you want your kids to actually focus on. The next one we'll talk about is neat. So this is basically a cluttered classroom can actually leave kids feeling disorganized and can leave a teacher frantically struggling to find something. So in the classroom, it's really important to keep things organized, like supplies, tools, desks, and chairs. And this can help just create a sense of flow and put most things within arm's reach, or at least an easy way to find. So the next one we'll talk about is concentration. And this is when the classroom should be quiet and really give the students the chance to focus. So it's really important to remember that one cannot always control outside noise. They can be different things you can do to soundproof your room, such as sound-absorbing material. So the next thing we'll talk about is bulletin boards. And bulletin boards are something that you'll actually find in almost every elementary school. Some may have students' work posted, decorations for an upcoming holiday, or an announcement about an event. However, bulletin boards can be used for much more than that and are often very overlooked as an opportunity. So they can also be used to reinforce concepts, state rules, present routines, and also to reward students for going above and beyond. So most importantly, bulletin boards are interesting to look at, to draw the viewer's eye and reinforce a purpose. So what does the research actually say? Well, there are several important resources and articles devoted to tips and tricks for creating classroom. There's also often the question if there's any science to back it up. So this is actually what the research says. According to Robin Stubbs Collins, there's no statistical difference about whether or not a student learns better in a portable or classroom. And also Marilyn Reed explored in her research about what kind of classroom kids prefer. She found that 3- and 4-year-old girls prefer an environment with visual stimulation, but both boys and girls reacted positively to a room with circles and spheres. And she thought this because it really broke up the box to look like classrooms. However, there is such a thing as having too much in your classroom. For instance, kindergartners in highly decorated classrooms were actually more distracted and they spend more time on off-task behaviors, according to a study done by Carnegie University. And it's important to remember that light and noise also impact cognition, according to a study done by the National Institute for Early Education. And also research has shown students in classrooms with natural light progress faster with math by 20% and with reading by 26% in 1 year study. So now we'll go ahead and talk about out with the old and in with the new. So although the industrial era was a great time, it's over, and so should that model within the classrooms be over. That model is really out of date and has no place in preparing our students for the fast-changing global society that they will inherit. So we need to be shying away from the typical old-style classroom with all the desks facing the board in perfect rows. What we need to be looking at right now is how we can actually add dimension to our classrooms to create a stronger and enriching learning environment for our students. It's also really important to destroy the traditional learning environment and really go for something entirely new. We actually can find this new idea to be shaped by Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, and Jamie Oliver. So we really just want to look at the classroom in 3 dimensions. We need to give students the opportunities to work on real projects and then really encourage cross-disciplinary thinking. We want to welcome people alone or in small groups with the furnishings that we have in our classroom. And actually, lastly, we need to see that student participation is the centerpiece of operations. So basically, altogether, we really need more collaboration from teachers, more of a study solitude, and lastly, a classroom that nourishes the mind, body, and spirit. So now we'll be talking about redesigning the classroom. So in the article, 8 Tips and Tricks to Redesign Your Classroom, David Bill actually went through some small-scale designs. His first tip was to get the students involved, and he also suggested creating a visual inspiration where you have magazines donated and have the students make a collage out of the clippings of things that they find actually inspiring. He also suggests that using 10 by 10 by 10 frames. And this is where you actually ask your students to talk to 10 different people in 10 different places and bring 10 different stories. He suggests that this will allow you to gain insight on what people actually like, so that's really an awesome idea. I really like that. Another tip is to research and brainstorm. It's important to grab some paper and play word association. So this is when the teacher writes the initial word and the student has to write the first word that comes to mind that they associate with the initial word. So the students will repeat this process with the new words that they are writing down. Bill also uses sticky notes to help determine the areas of most focus. So students will brainstorm rules and guidelines for using the sticky notes. Organizing and managing volunteers to help you redesign your room can get really confusing, and actually this article suggests that you use a Google spreadsheet so that everyone has access to the document at all times, which is a fantastic idea, I think. Another tip is to clear the clutter. As teachers, we all know that we tend to keep some items longer than we need to. That's definitely something I do. So while clearing the clutter, we need to make sure that you think about repurposing any of these materials. So this can be great for many things you're not ready to part with. And the last tip that he suggests is to make sure you're organizing your tools. This can be super helpful if you are redesigning it in the middle of the year or have helpers. So clearly label all containers and boxes that you and everyone else know where things are. So for, let's see, the classroom environment, the basics basically. It talks about how your classroom is basically your home away from home for both you and your students. So it's important to make sure your classroom is attractive, comfortable, grade age level appropriate and activity appropriate, and it also should match your style. So another important piece of your classroom is the lighting and temperature. These will actually greatly affect your students' achievements, which is honestly kind of crazy to think about. For instance, I noticed that my practicum teacher turned off the lights during the NISA test the other day, and I was actually wondering why he did this. And I know now that he did this so that the students would feel more comfortable and relaxed while they were taking the big test. So I thought that was really cool. So I hope you guys actually enjoyed our presentation, and good luck with finals and everything. Thanks for listening.